May 5th, 1945, Okinawa. The cliff face rose 400 feet into smoke and chaos. At the top, Hacksaw Ridge. American soldiers were being torn apart by Japanese machine gun fire. Mortar shells turned the ground into a graveyard, and one man was climbing back up. He carried no weapon, no rifle, no pistol, not even a knife. His name was Desmond Doss, and he was about to do something no combat medic had ever done before. But to understand why he climbed that ridge 75 times in a single night, we need to go back. Lynchburg, Virginia, 1919. Desmond Thomas Doss was born into a working-class family. His father, William Thomas, was a carpenter, a World War I veteran who came home broken. He drank, he struggled, and young Desmond watched it all. One night, Thomas pulled a gun on his wife's brother during a family argument. Desmond's mother, Bertha, stepped between them. She took the weapon from her husband's hand, and Desmond, just 7 years old, never forgot what violence could do. There was something else in that house, a framed picture. It showed the 10 Commandments, and one of them burned into Desmond's mind. Thou shalt not kill. He was a Seventh-day Adventist. His faith taught pacifism. It taught that Saturday was the Sabbath, and it taught that life was sacred. For Desmond, these weren't just beliefs. They were absolutes. By the time he turned 23, the world was on fire. December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor. The Japanese attack killed over 2,000 Americans in a single morning. The next day, President Franklin Roosevelt declared war, and across the country, young men lined up to enlist. Desmond Doss was working at a shipyard in Newport News. He had a deferment. He could have stayed home, but he didn't. On April 1st, 1942, he walked into a recruiting station. He told them he wanted to serve. He wanted to be a medic, and he would not carry a weapon. The recruiter stared at him. "You're registering as a conscientious objector?" "No, sir," Desmond said. "I'm a conscientious cooperator. I'm willing to serve. I just won't kill." They didn't know what to do with him, but Desmond didn't care about the paperwork. He believed you could serve your country without taking a life. The Army sent him to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Basic training was hell. The other soldiers hated him. They saw a coward, a man who wouldn't fight. They called him names. They threw boots at him while he prayed. One night, they beat him in the barracks. No one intervened. His commanding officer, Captain Jack Glover, tried everything to force him out. He and Sergeant Howell attempted to discharge him under Section 8 for psychiatric reasons, but they were overruled. Desmond's religious beliefs didn't constitute mental illness. Glover assigned him extra duty. He refused him weekend passes. He made his life miserable, all to break him, but Desmond refused to break. At one point, they threatened him with court-martial for insubordination. His father contacted the chairman of the church's War Service Commission, Carlisle B. Haynes. Haynes called the regimental commander, Colonel Stephen S. Hamilton. Things were straightened out. Desmond Doss stayed in the Army, but the hatred didn't stop. His unit was assigned to the 77th Infantry Division. They called themselves the Statue of Liberty Division. In August 1942, before shipping out, Desmond married Dorothy Shuta. Then he deployed to the Pacific Theater in 1944. Their first taste of real combat came on Guam. Under fire for the first time, Desmond didn't freeze. He ran, straight into the bullets. He dragged wounded men back to cover. He patched their wounds. He prayed over them, and slowly, The men who once mocked him began to trust him. He earned a Bronze Star with a V device for valor. One soldier later said, "We realized Doss was the bravest man in the company, but it was on Leyte in the Philippines that everything changed." The 77th was tasked with clearing Japanese positions in the jungle. The fighting was brutal, hand to hand, close quarters. Soldiers died in the mud. Desmond was everywhere. He treated men under sniper fire. He crawled through enemy territory to reach the wounded, and on one occasion, he shielded an injured soldier with his own body while shells exploded around them. He earned a second Bronze Star. Captain Glover, the same officer who tried to discharge him, watched in disbelief. "I was wrong about Doss," he said later. "Dead wrong." But nothing could prepare them for Okinawa. April 1st, 1945, the invasion of Okinawa was the largest amphibious assault in the Pacific War. Over 500,000 Allied troops. The objective was simple: take the island. Use it as a staging ground for the invasion of Japan. But the Japanese weren't retreating. They were dug in, and they were ready to die. By late April, the 77th Division reached the Meta Escarpment. The Americans called it Hacksaw Ridge. It was a jagged cliff face covered in caves and tunnels. At the top, a plateau swarming with enemy soldiers. The only way up was a cargo net. On April 29th, Desmond's battalion climbed the ridge. They fought all day. They took heavy casualties, and as night fell, they were ordered to retreat. But Desmond stayed. Wounded men were scattered across the ridge. Some were screaming, some were silent. All of them were dying. Desmond moved through the darkness, alone. He found a soldier with his leg blown off. He applied a tourniquet. He tied a rope around the man's chest, and he lowered him down the cliff. Then he went back. He found another man and another. He used ropes. He used pulleys. He dragged men to the edge and sent them down. Enemy patrols were everywhere. Bullets snapped past his head. Grenades exploded in the dark, and Desmond kept praying, "Lord, please help me get one more." One more. That's all he asked for. And every time he saved one, he went back. By dawn, he had rescued 75 men. 75. His commanding officers couldn't believe it. They thought he was exaggerating. They investigated. They interviewed survivors, and every single one confirmed the story. Private Doss, unarmed and alone, had saved an entire company. But the battle wasn't over. May the 2nd, May 4th, May 5th. Day after day, Desmond treated wounded soldiers. On May 2nd, he rescued a man 200 yards in front of American lines. On May 4th, he made 4 separate trips under fire to save 4 men near a heavily defended cave. On May 5th, he braved enemy shelling to administer plasma to an artillery officer. Then he carried another wounded soldier 100 yards to safety. The 77th kept fighting, and Desmond kept saving lives. Then came May 21st, 1945, a night attack near Shuri. The Japanese launched a fierce counterattack. Desmond stayed in exposed territory while his company took cover. He treated the wounded. He moved through the darkness, and then a grenade landed near him. It detonated. Shrapnel tore through his legs, 17 pieces. He collapsed. His men rushed to help, but Desmond waved them off. Someone else was hurt worse. He insisted they take the other soldier first. He dressed his own wounds, and he waited 5 hours, bleeding, in pain. When stretcher bearers finally reached him, they started carrying him down. Then an enemy tank appeared. The bearers dove for cover, and Desmond rolled off the stretcher. He gave his spot to another wounded man. Then a sniper's bullet shattered his arm. He used a rifle stock as a splint, and he crawled 300 yards, dragging his broken body through the dirt until another medic found him. Desmond Doss survived, barely. He was evacuated on May 21st aboard the USS Mercy, then to Guam, then back to the United States. He spent years recovering. The wounds never fully healed. He lost a lung to tuberculosis contracted during his service. He lived with pain for the rest of his life. But on October 12th, 1945, something remarkable happened. President Harry Truman stood on the White House lawn, and he placed the Medal of Honor around Desmond Doss's neck, the first conscientious objector to ever receive the nation's highest military honor. Truman shook his hand warmly. "I'm proud of you," the president said. "You really deserve this. I consider this a greater honor than being president." Desmond didn't see himself as a hero. He saw himself as a man who kept his promise to serve, to save, to never take a life. He returned to Virginia. He married Dorothy Shudas. They had a son, Desmond Jr. They built a quiet life together in Rising Fawn, Georgia. Desmond rarely spoke about the war. He didn't need recognition. He had his faith. He had his family. But the men he saved, they never forgot. For decades afterward, veterans tracked him down. They showed up at his door. They brought their children. They wanted to say thank you. Some wept. Some just shook his hand. One soldier told him, "You're the reason I got to meet my grandkids." Desmond smiled. That was enough. Dorothy died in a car accident in 1991. Desmond remarried in 1993 to Frances Duman. He died on March 23, 2006. He was 87 years old. At his funeral, veterans came from across the country. They stood in uniform, they saluted, and they told the same story. The story of a man who went to war and refused to become a killer. Some people think courage means charging forward with a gun, but Desmond Doss proved something else. Courage can mean running into hell with nothing but a prayer and a promise. He saved 75 men on Hacksaw Ridge. He saved dozens more on Guam and Leyte, and he did it all without ever pulling a trigger. The soldiers who once beat him in the barracks ended up owing him their lives. Captain Glover, who tried to force him out, was one of the 75 men Desmond saved that night. "He was one of the bravest persons alive," Glover said later. "And then to have him end up saving my life was the irony of the whole thing." War is designed to strip away everything soft, everything human. It demands violence. It demands blood. But Desmond refused. He held on to his faith. He held on to his principles. And in doing so, he showed that even in the worst darkness, you can still choose light. His Medal of Honor citation reads, "He was a company aid man when the 1st Battalion assaulted a jagged escarpment 400 feet high. Private First Class Doss refused to seek cover and remained in the fire-swept area with the many stricken, carrying them one by one to the edge of the escarpment, and there lowering them on a rope-supported litter down the face of a cliff to friendly hands." Friendly hands. That's what Desmond Doss represented. Not a fist, not a weapon, just hands, reaching out, saving, healing. And in the end, that took more courage than anyone could measure. One more? That's what he prayed for. Every single time, just one more.